Hello and welcome to Show Up Stand Out, online visibility series for entrepreneurs. My name is Juliet Stapleton. I'm a visibility strategist, and my guest today is Will Deane, the owner and founder of Unstoppable.co. Hi, Will.
Hey, how's it going? I appreciate you having me here.
I'm so delighted because I think that this interview will bring a lot of good knowledge to our audience, especially to do with building your brand and maybe scaling up your brand and in general, the online world. But before we go into the strategies, please tell me, how did you end up doing what you're doing, and what is Unstoppable? I love that name, Unstoppable.
Yeah, sure. And I won't take, 45 minutes to tell you the whole story, but long and short of it,
Short
yeah,
one.
yeah. I've always been interested since a young age at, the online space and the opportunity online. And after many, many failures when I was younger, I ended up working for an awesome startup in New York, and that really gave me a basis for confidence to go, really test the internet landscape again. And in 2011, I launched an e-commerce business, very niche in the e-commerce lighting B2B industry. And from 2011 to 2014, we built that company up. We had 16 employees. We ended up selling the company. And one of the big lessons, or I guess caveats, I learned while growing that business, which started as an online company, was teaching myself how to get acquisitions online, or teaching myself how to grow a brand online when I didn't know anything. And one of the things we touched on, I guess, earlier is that I was entrusting a lot of people for, their services, and I kept getting burned, and I kept not getting the results that I was expecting. And so I ended up just taking the helm, as you will, and just teaching myself everything under the sun. And so when we ended up selling it in 2014, a lot of friends and colleagues who had seen what we had done came to me and said, "Hey, can you help me with my business?" Or, "Hey, can you help me do this or that?" And I didn't really wake up and go, "I want to be a marketer." I was a business owner, so I had that mindset first to look at all angles of the business, the P&L, the gross profit, the net profit. And then when I was helping my friends and colleagues and actually crushing it for them, more people came, more referrals came, and I thought to myself, well, while I'm trying to find another product or company to build, let me just take on some clients. And that kind of snowballed into, wow, I need to build a team. Wow, I'm doing something different. And I realized that I needed to brand our company. And so that's how I ended up here. And it's been a wild ride. But yeah, we're I guess you would call us a marketing agency that does everything from branding to growth to, traffic, whatever it is online. We've had some experience in it.
I've heard you brought some companies to 7-8 figures businesses. That's how big that's how big you can go if you're working with Unstoppable. That's why I love the name, guys. This is brilliant. So yeah, well, so this is something interesting because for me personally, I'm like yourself. I absolutely loved everything online, and from 1996 when I bought my first computer, and I was just so fascinated with the online part of it. And it's so natural that whatever evolved and whoever I am now is this, right? But an interesting thing is when I went to college and I studied the PhD in digital marketing, none of that I really did apply.
None of it.
No, and everything that I know, and I've learned through my own experience as a business owner, as running my own business, and marketing online. So this is so anyone can do it. You don't need to have formal education for it, but you do have to have a certain mindset for it, isn't it? What would be your, in your opinion, the most important things to break through to be able to achieve something in the online world?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. I mean, number one, it's a commitment, right? Because everything's dynamic. Things are changing all the time. Something that worked yesterday or the day before might not work today. And not to overwhelm people that are just trying to get in the space, but you have to be committed to learning it. It's almost like anything, whether it's a sport, whether it's reading, whatever it is. You can't just say, I want to do it and then be the best at it. You have to really dedicate time. And the reason why I love marketing, and again, like I said, I didn't want to be a marketer, but I honed that skill in particular because I wanted to control my own destiny. and all the business owners out there, all the people that are trying to succeed in something, if you can master marketing per se, then you have a much higher leg up when you're navigating the waters of all the other things. And so I would say that persistence, consistency is the number one thing. And then, it's really cliche to say find a mentor, but I would say find somebody through your personal network that has experience in the online space and has experience enough that they've been either successful or knows someone. And, even if it's like, your daughter's friend or whoever it is, that's what I would say, because going out and just trying to find somebody yourself when you don't actually know those skill sets, it's kind of like trying to find like a car repair shop when you have no idea how to repair a car. Like you're just kind of looking through a directory, and you need to find somebody that's a personal relationship.
I agree with you 100%. I once watched a TEDx talk by somebody. I can't drop names because I'm dyslexic and I don't remember any names. But the talk itself was that you can learn any skill in 20 hours or less, because all you have to understand is a general scope. So hiring someone as a business owner for something you have no idea what it is, it's a dangerous thing. It's a really, really dangerous thing. So there's always a way to go find information, learn a little bit, just the scope of it, so we understand the concepts. And as you said, I also feel like you have to have people who mentor you in this business. There's too much noise. And I always say this, so guys, if you're watching this repeatedly, you'll know I'll say there's beautiful voices, but altogether it's noisy, so you have to get somebody who will take you by the hand and maybe take you out of that noise, and then you start making sense of this, and then it's a beautiful piece of music at the end, when you understand it. So this is interesting. Tell me this, because you're running a company, a lot of my people in this audience would be people who are solopreneurs probably, and even maybe they already built the business and maybe they're already successful offline, and they want to have visibility. So that's why they're watching this show. So in terms of visibility, what are the best strategies, in your opinion, to build a brand online? And would the question, can I just run ads? Would that work?
No. So the short answer is no, you can't just run ads. And it's a great question, because so many businesses, people love automation, and the more that things are going, this year, next year, in the future, it's just automation, easier, less friction, right? Every single decision we make, the company that has the least amount of friction associated with that decision is going to win ultimately. But when it comes to your own business or your own brand or personal brand, the idea that automation can make you successful is really, really incorrect. I always say automation can pour gasoline on something. Running ads can escalate something to a higher level. But unless you cultivate a base with actual work, and what I mean by that is, if you're a business owner and you're trying to create put yourself out there and create some sort of awareness or brand online, you have to actually get in the conversation. You have to be on the Instagram, you have to be in the Facebook groups, you have to be in the channels, on the blogs, communicating. And if it's not you, then it needs to be somebody else, right? Because if you just run ads, and mind you, brands can be built by just running ads, but you better have a freaking big budget. Yeah. Because what that is you have to constantly change the conversation, constantly change the medium, constantly get in front of people. And I think the best way to do that is to do it manually or organically. And then you have kind of a base and a following and something to put your foot on, and then you can add paid traffic to it. And if you go paid traffic first, like I said before, you got to have a lot of money to spend. And I've seen it work, but it's really not a sustainable thing.
I agree. And I also think that, a lot of people read on the principles of traditional marketing, which really only works for much larger companies with much larger budgets, with loads of departments, and everybody can do their own little thing. But when you're working, if you're yourself still running the business by yourself, or you have a small team, that's just not going to work. You have to look into different strategies, and you have to show up. I always say offline is the same thing. If you were staying in this one room and you didn't go and meet people or pick up the phone and call somebody, how can you grow the business? And it's exactly the same principle online. So a lot of people are saying, well, yeah, I've already done a lot, and yes, I have, I have networking. Why do I have to do all this online? But it's the same thing. It's just a different room. It's a virtual room, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like people look at tangible ROI, right? So they're just looking at like, what are my actions going to produce to my bottom line? And unfortunately, while that's a good way of looking at it back in the day and for direct sales, you have to understand to grow the long-term goal and the long-term plan. If you put yourself out there and you start communicating online and doing all these things, like that revenue and that money will come back to you. And what online is, and something that people really need to get in their heads that aren't online, that are trying to come online. You built your business offline because you built relationships, right? Like you got that person to work with you, or you got that sale, or you got whatever it is because you built a relationship maybe in person, and that was easy for you because that came natural. But all the internet marketing and all that is online is building relationships online, right? So you're not changing what you're doing, you're just changing the medium where it's done. And so when you try to apply paid traffic to it, there's not that personal touch that goes to the building that relationship, right? It's the personal touch in everything that's going to create your business online. And however you do that, whether it's sending an email, commenting on a post, and those relationships spiral. And it might be harder to do it online because you're not face to face, but that's what you need to think the online space is. I'm doing this to build relationships, and those relationships is going to equal business. And that value I provide is going to equal business. And then you can take paid traffic and pour it on top.
That is so true. That is so true. I had an interview here with Rachel Peterson, who is an online marketer, and she made her whole escalating to success started with a viral post that she did about her engagement ring or something like that. And we were discussing this particular thing about, even if you are using ads, they actually have to be still behind very personal relationship building strategies. Mm-hmm. People don't buy from people. I always say that I go to the coffee shop based on who works there, not even sometimes based on where it is, or it's people that we create connections. I like the banter and I like the chat. And if somebody is horrible, I'm not going to go back there, even if it's the best coffee in the world. And I'm a big coffee drinker. So, people are the ones who make the experience happen. And I see that as well. I see it as well a lot. I see brands, for example, it could be a shop, and maybe the person who owns the shop is absolutely brilliant with customers. Yeah. And yet with online, they struggle to project the same principle. It just takes a little bit longer online. A lot of people expect fast results. I think they go and they do, a few videos and then they're like, oh, there's nothing happening. Yeah, but it's a longer thing because you have to persuade people. You have to pop into their devices. You're not actually ringing somebody or talking to them face to face straight away. So you have to penetrate their mind so many times with different content and really earn that trust, right? And that's the only way to do it, is to show up.
Exactly, and I mean that's a perfect point. And one of the things, like Gary Vee says as well, is just give without the assumption that you're going to receive, and giving that value and constantly doing that with no notion that you're waiting for some type of expectation or some type of result will allow you to have the right mindset to go into what you're doing without kind of like that, hey, this didn't work, I'm stopping, right? If you know that it will work by building relationships and that it will take time, but you have no expectation in return, then you're putting yourself in a way better position to win than anybody else, because you're just constantly giving value. You're constantly going out there and engaging with people and creating relationships. But you're absolutely right. I mean, it's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah.
And the other thing as well, guys, like if you're starting the business, if this is something that you do to start the business, you cannot rely on online business to just go and in a month you're going to live off it. You have to get a job, or you have to, have some other income in your life, because it takes time, but if you give yourself 12 months, say 12 months is a good period of time, provided you're committed. So not just interested, committed, and you're doing things daily and you're really focused. After 12 months, your life will be completely different. You'll be looking back and saying, what just happened? And
100%.
yeah.
100%.
And 12 months is a very small amount of time, but I think people are just expecting results too soon. And I agree with you. When you come to the online world, I think, especially as a solopreneur, and I experienced this myself, you go through a lot of mindset shifts, right? So one of the mindset shifts for me was to take myself out of this whole process, because when myself was there, that was the person who was worried about, oh, I'm not getting any sales, oh my god, I'm not, my audience is not growing as fast. But the moment I took myself out and I said, okay, today, what can I say or do today to help my audience achieve something? And that's just changed everything. Yeah. It was easy for me to do, and then it was easy for me to sell.
Exactly, right? Because you're providing value. Everybody's like, wow, she's awesome. She's providing value. I want to work with her. I trust her. I'm going to work with her. And that's the game people need to get that mindset in. It's not just like, I want to close. It's what can I help them with, So,
okay, well, that was, I think that was very valuable for the people to hear that from, not just, when my audience listens to me, of course, I am the same solopreneur, but you're helping businesses that are big businesses, or you're taking them to a real high level. Who doesn't want an eight-figure business, guys? Of course. I feel a little bit, some of my students may sometimes say, well, look, I don't want too much. I don't. And I'm saying, no, you do. No, you do want too much. You're not going to say no. So let's just gear towards that. And then when you're halfway, you'll be still very happy with that, right? Exactly. When is the best play? Oh, there's a question actually. When is the best time to start marketing your business? This is the question I'm asked. When is the best time to start marketing?
Sure. I think that, and again, we're talking about any kind of marketing or paid marketing versus just what do you
I think maybe like any kind of online marketing if you want a business.
I think that you should start right away. I mean, if you have an idea, like obviously it depends on if you have an idea or a product, but you need to start right away, right? You have to always be there for people to see, because like you said, give it a year before you make a judgment of you're going to stop something or start something. If you don't start now, then you're going to wake up the next day and go, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And, it goes back to this whole thing that right now everybody is seeing these, or they think they're seeing in social media, these fast wins. Oh, the guy sold his company for 10 million. Oh, the person's a social media star. Oh, the TV show. Just those fast wins took years to build, and no one sees that. So these expectations of people like, I've been doing this for 2 weeks and it sucks. Get over it.
Yes, I tried. I have people saying to me, did you do live video? Yeah, I tried. How many times, or how often do you do it? No, I just did it once.
Yeah.
But it's the same like going to the gym and say, I want to have a six-pack, and then you just lift a kettlebell once and said, okay, well, that didn't work.
Exactly. Having a salad and like, oh, you know what?
I didn't lose all that weight. This is funny, and it cracks me up really genuinely. And before I felt sympathetic, now I don't even feel sympathetic anymore, because it's kind of silly, it's kind of stupid. You have to make yourself a commitment, and a commitment is a strong word. We started with this, and I think it's a great note just to finish this interview on, because commitment, it takes a lot of guts. Commitment takes this, get yourself out in the morning. No, I'm going to do it tomorrow. You do it today. You do it today, because tomorrow you lost money. Maybe the money will come in 12 months, but you lost it yesterday. I feel like this, and this is something that gets me out of bed in the morning and doing all this, because every time you're not doing something, it's like interest in your bank. It's just getting bigger and bigger. It's not that you're postponing the time that you're going to do it. You'll have to do more.
And you'll get resentful too if you don't actually do it. And it's funny that you say that. I like to create a circle around my main commitment. What I mean by that is, if my main commitment, which is one of my main commitments, is branding for my company this year and personal branding. But what I like to do, because that goal is the main goal, I like to create little commitments around it that might not even be related. For example, I haven't woken up and ran in a couple of years at 5, 6 a.m. And I said, well, if I can do personal branding, or if I'm going to position personal branding or business branding at top, I'm going to create this little goal of waking up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and going running. And like these little goals make the vision of this other goal so much easier. You're stacking winning cards next to each other. And so I know it might be a little weird to talk about, but like adding little commitments around this big commitment allow the big commitment to be easier. Because like, oh, I'm going to take a cold shower every morning. It's like, that's not that hard. It's a pain in the ass, but it's not that hard. But I did it. Oh, I can write a blog post.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and this is how you warp your mindset, because sometimes taking one goal that maybe is super audacious for you, you look at it and you go, I don't know if I can do that. So these little wins, the little wins of a commitment, like I woke up at 5, even just start there. I woke up at 5.
Yes.
That's a win if you wake up at 8, right? And so little wins like that make looking at your bigger picture goal much more acceptable, much easier, much more plausible. So that's what I would suggest to people, is like trying to position little wins around your big win, and it'll be much easier to get there, because you're going to look at yourself and go, I can do this. I can do that. I did this. All right. And it's all momentum. So then the next thing is easy.
It is so funny because you just summarized, basically. People say to me, Juliet, how did you make it like, in a short time? And I did exactly what you just described completely. I just started doing things that are smaller commitments, like waking up at 6 o'clock every morning and doing my meditation that I didn't do and doing my other things that I didn't do. And there's a huge difference between getting up at 6 in the morning or 7.
Yeah.
Or, this 1 hour, you put yourself in such an amazing mindset. And then again, you can sit down and write your blog post. That's your email. You can repurpose things. So your mind works so much sharper, but you have so much more to celebrate, because it is very, very scary sometimes to think, am I going to make it? And it just feels so vague, and, you don't know what's going to happen, but you just have to have that blind face and go for it.
Exactly. And it's funny. I think Tony Robbins said this. He said, happiness is progress. Right. And what that means, and it's hard to think about happiness and progress. What does that mean? I mean, if you wake up at 5 or 6, right, and that's one goal, right? You make your bed, maybe you read a couple chapters of a book, maybe you water the grass, or whatever it is, these little things that you never would have done before because you wake up at 8, that's progress. By the time you reach 7 or 8 o'clock, you're actually happier, because you actually accomplished something small. It might not be relevant, but those little accomplishments create progress, which create happiness, which when you look at your other goals, you're like, no big deal. So yeah, I resonate with you. I love this idea.
It's awesome. Guys, do it. You owe it to yourself, and don't focus on these things that overwhelm you. Then instead have that, you're doing that, but focus on these little things. And I agree with you. I feel so much happier. Actually, I feel like being an entrepreneur, just because you're having these small goals and, you're pushing yourself. But I have never been so happy and calm and, in a way, very secure in my future, whether, maybe sometimes I can say, well, I could be better off. I don't even care about this anymore. And this what happens, these little commitments. So guys, don't be interested in making it or, your success or making your dreams come true. Commit to it. Committing is the key. And on this lovely note, Will, where can people follow you? Well, I already kind of mentioned, but you can do it again. Yeah,
so check us out on unstoppable.co, www.unstoppable.co. Hit me up on Instagram at Will Deane, or Facebook. Just put Will Deane in. Any questions you guys have, ask me. I'm an open book. Like, I love to help people. I love to help businesses. So feel free to reach out, and I'm there for you guys.
Perfect. And since your goal this year is to build your personal brand, we should be seeing much more of you online and on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere. So I'm looking forward to more of that. Thank you so much for being my guest. I really enjoyed having you. And guys, have a great day. I hope everybody will start committing and making their dreams come true from this moment on. See you all later.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.